Hey everyone, it's David out here in Korea. Week 21 is finally here and time seems to be going by pretty well. This week started off a little gloomy, lots of smog in the air, kind of hard to breathe. But then I went to go work and the overcast started coming in and you could tell the atmosphere has changed just a little bit and looked a little bit more like it was going to snow. And then sure enough, some snowflakes started falling, and you can never trust the weather forecast around here because it called for 0% chance of precipitation and no snow this week. But as the evening went on, snow flurries started building up a little bit more, and by the morning there was a layer of snow all over everything, which I think I've seen my fill of snow. So as pretty as it is sometimes, knowing that you had to go out in it makes it less so. By the afternoon of the next day, it had definitely started accumulating, and it's just funny because 0% precipitation turned into quite a few inches of snow and whiteout conditions that time. But lots of snow. Hoping that we're kind of done with the snow after this one. Towards the middle of the week, we ended up having to go on a work trip further north. And this is the first time that I've been this far north and in this area. And Korea is kind of unique just because it has a whole lot of urban area, developed area, underdeveloped area, all within a mile. You'll see all kinds of different structures, and you can go back to what looks like ancient farms to modernized metropolis within just, like I said, a couple of minutes of each other. In a lot of the places that you go to, you'll see rows and rows of these buildings like this here, and they're just apartment buildings, but there are just huge clusters of them everywhere. So it's really cool to see. Not something I would want to live my life by, but pretty neat to look at. By the middle of the week, the snow and the moisture had kind of moved out of the area. Smog still remained, unfortunately, so I decided to stay in and been hitting the gym as much as possible. But whenever I'm stuck indoors with all the pollution in the air, I usually try to find things to do around. And I decided to rearrange my dresser, and it had been getting kind of a miss with all the different array of clothing that I have in there. So I decided I'd go ahead and rearrange, make it look nice and presentable. And I've been trying to keep everything tidy and everything organized, just for peace of mind mostly, if nothing else. I spent about 15 minutes or so making sure everything was arranged, and by the time that got done, I decided I'd go ahead and make some bread. So my dad had sent me a few nuts and some dried cranberries because we used to eat this bread back when we lived in Texas. That was a pistachio cranberry bread, and since he can't ship it all the way over here, he gave me the ingredients to be able to make my own in the bread maker. So I ended up finding a recipe that was a suitable base for the cranberry pistachio bread, and decided to make that and throw it all together. So I'm getting pretty handy at this bread maker and kind of figured out how it all operates. Of course, everything's just kind of done for you, which is super awesome. All you have to do is just pour in whatever you want and then push start on the bread maker, and it just does its thing for you, and you can walk away and just leave it. And so that's what I did. Started at the bread, and then I decided I was going to go out and see if I could find a mini waffle maker, because my lovely wife had sent me a video of people taking leftover rice and putting it in a waffle maker and crisping it up, and it looked really good. So I went to go see if I could find the waffle maker, because I don't need a full-size one, and these are about $40 and that was a little bit too much for what I needed. So unfortunately I couldn't find one, so I passed on it for now. But I did need to go get some groceries, so I decided to go out to one of the Korean supermarkets, and this one is probably my favorite one. I've actually started driving around a little bit more, getting a little bit more adventurous, and I happened to stumble upon this one. And this one has fairly decent prices, and most of the stuff that they have, some of it's local, some of it's imported, but usually the stuff that is local, they'll label it. And I found these tomatoes. These tomatoes are super awesome. They're made with stevia, or grown with a stevia plant, one of those sweetness-inducing plants. So it permeates the tomatoes and makes them sweet tasting. So really unique experience. But they got a little bit of everything at this market, all different kinds of noodles and prepackaged meats and things like that. Huge fish market, lots of different types of seafood. I also found this bag of dried fish heads, which maybe my sister would like. Maybe I'll have to send those to her. And then, of course, they got all the different types of brewed beverages that are available here in Korea, and stocked full shelves of different chips and candies and all that. This is where I've been going to send stuff back home, so if anybody wants anything, let me know. I can definitely send a box to you. Right outside of the store, I decided to take this video because there's, like I said earlier in the video, like, Korea's kind of unique. There'll be really nice houses, and then right next to a really nice house, there'll be this kind of a dump where there's just a collection of all different types of trash and things like that. And this happened to be one of those areas that really, really nice, and you get a block over and all of a sudden it looks pretty rough. But whenever I got back home, I decided to start making my meals for the week. Sometimes I had to work long hours, and it's easier just to prep meals at the beginning of the week and have stuff I can just grab out of the refrigerator and take to work with me and heat up later whenever I'm there for lunches and dinners and things like that. So usually at the end of the week, I'll prepare for the next week just by making a bunch of meals. By the time I got done doing that, my bread was ready. So I took the bread out, and it came out with a beautiful color on it, and it really looked comparable to what the bread would be that you would get back at home in Texas whenever we lived there. And yeah, it was a pretty good looking loaf, so I ended up cutting it open. Well, I let it cool completely. That was something my lovely wife tells me I have to do all the time, is let it cool completely. So I did let it cool completely, and once I cut into it, I could tell it was going to be a really good loaf. The crust got really nice and browned, and all the nuts and the dried fruits got evenly dispersed throughout it. And this is probably my favorite loaf of bread that I have made so far. It was absolutely delicious. Now, to finish up my meal prepping, I decided to use the new crock pot my dad sent. And so for my meals this week, I'm going to do shredded pork roast. So I ended up throwing the pork roast in there, and as I'm making this video, the pork roast is currently cooking, and it smells awesome. So to it, I add a little bit of apple cider vinegar just to kind of infuse it just a little bit, and then put the lid on it, and now it's cooking. Finished up the week by working on some more drawing. I think I'm getting a little better at it. I'm using cheap store-bought chalk right now. That's meant for like coloring on sidewalks, but I think it's getting a little bit better each time, so I'll keep working at it. But that's all I got this week, so thanks for everybody for watching, and God bless you all, and hope everybody's having a good week.